Why didn't I do that? That would have made them fit so much better. Hello? Thank you. I showed up and I was the only person dressed up. And it was my anxious nightmare. Like, as an anxious person, that was my nightmare. I was like, you're going to make me sob my eyes out. And that won't be good for anyone, will it? Fall is my season, but winter is my time. Winter is my time. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, or if you just need a refresher, I'm Ollie, and I'm the one-woman show behind the Walleeze channel, and I like to talk. A lot. Which is exactly why I started this YouTube channel and subsequently this podcast, so that way I can talk for ages about whatever I want to, and hopefully some like-minded people find it, and hopefully find some enjoyment, or at least just have something good to have on in the background while they're doing other things. I love doing that with like knitting podcasts and stuff. I love having knitting podcasts on while I'm knitting. It just sets the vibes perfectly. But anyways, first things first, you may notice that before I even get into any intro for today's video, other than what I just did, you'll notice that it's a lot darker than normal. That is because I normally film these at like between noon to 2 o'clock. And I'm currently filming this one at almost 3:30. And if you have ever been to England in the wintertime, or fall, nearing wintertime, or if you live in England, or I don't really know, if you just have seen general TV shows, it gets dark at like 4:30 here. So it's pretty much sunset time for us here. So it's a little bit darker than normal, so I apologize. So my lamp is doing all the heavy lifting for today's video. But with that said, that disclaimer done, let's get into the video because I've got some cool things to show you today. So, starting right up with finished objects. I actually have finished objects this week, which if you were watching last week's podcast, you saw my struggles with the jack-o'-lantern socks by Renard and Dormy. And you would have seen my little note that I actually did finish the socks. And I did finish the socks that I said I was going to be knitting. So these, like I said, are the jack-o'-lantern socks by Renard and Dormy, and I'm knitting them in Drops Fabelle in the colorways Rust, Apple Green, and Brown, which is a 75% wool and 25% polyamide blend. And here they are. The piece de resistance. If you notice any felting on the heels, that is because I did in fact wear them for Halloween. I got them finished on Tuesday, so what was that, 31st, 30th? The 29th. I got them finished on October 29th, and oh, I just forgot something. Anyways, I got them finished on October 29th, and I blocked them that night, and they dried perfectly in time for Halloween. And I've got lots to say about them. Well, maybe not lots, but I've got stuff to say about them. See what I mean? That it's already so dark. My bad, guys. My bad. But yeah, I finished them. I was knitting furiously. They are knit up on 2.25 millimeter needles, which are small. I was knitting furiously. I was knitting till there was smoke coming off my hands, and it was all okay because I got them done in time. They are still a little bit too big. If you were here for my trials and tribulations talk last week, you will know that I had trouble with the sizing because my normal size was just way too big with the increases for the color work. And with this size, I sized down completely. And I'm a medium in socks. You know how they give like a small, medium, large. I'm normally the middle size, and I sized down to a medium, completely different size than I normally would. I would never go that small because it just doesn't fit me. But I did because after the increases for the color work, that leaves me at 72 stitches, which is still way bigger than I normally would go because that doesn't fit me, that fits my boyfriend. So they are still big and loose and baggy because of that. Although now that I'm looking at it in hindsight, because of course I was just frantic 2 Sundays ago. I was absolutely frantic 2 Sundays ago when I was realizing that they were just about 3 sizes too big the first time I made them, and I had to redo them completely. I don't know why I didn't just do a 56 stitch cast on and go to a 60 and not do the increases in the pattern, which would bring me up to 72 stitches, make up my own increases to bring me to a 60 stitch count. I don't exactly know why I didn't do that, looking back on it, because hindsight, 2020 hindsight, right? I don't know. I went with the 72 stitch, and they are a little bit baggy on me, but that's okay because I wore them out on Halloween because that's the whole purpose of them. Because of that, you can see it. Which one has it worse? I think this one has it worse. You can definitely see some felting on the socks. I'll put a picture, but I wore them with my Doc Marten Mary Janes, which, to be fair, that felting is not entirely the fault of the yarn. I did put them in not very broken in Doc Martens, so kind of my fault. But they did fit beautifully in my shoes throughout the day. At home, they're very loose and it's very prominent how they don't really fit me properly. So these might end up getting regifted to my boyfriend. I don't know. I'll have to have him try them on because the ribbing cast on is still 56 stitches and I doubt that'll get over his heel. But I mean, it's stretched pretty far. And I do, what is it called? German twisted cast on, I think is what it's called. But I do a stretchy cast on, so it's pretty fine. But I really loved the motifs on these. I think I would be a little teensy weensy bit wary of doing another full color work Renard and Dormy pattern, just because I will have to sit around and faff about with the color work increases like I should have done on this, but I didn't think about it until I was literally sitting down for this podcast. I was like, why didn't I do that? That would have made them fit so much better. But maybe I'll remake them. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Who knows? But I really like Renard and Dormy's designs. So I mean, the Home for Christmas socks that I'm planning on knitting for my boyfriend are a Renard and Dormy pattern. So I really do like her designs. I just think I need to be much more conscious from now on when touching her designs about stitch counts, which honestly you have to in socks, and I just was choosing to blindly follow the pattern designer. So kind of on me, kind of not. I don't know. But I know I said I have a lot to say about these, but I don't think I really did, because they're done. And everything I really had to say about them I said last week. Yeah, they're closed off with the Kitchener stitch, and I used to be really bad at the Kitchener stitch, but now I'm pretty good, I would say. Let's see if I can focus on that a little bit more right there. Focusing on the wrong part. I don't know if you guys can really see that. I can't really see what there it is. So, join is pretty invisible, which I'm proud of. But yeah, they did felt where I was walking. You can actually, wow, okay. You can, like right there, you can actually see that this part right here, this side is the part that was on my foot and on the side of my shoe, and then this part was the top part. So my shoes did mess them up a little bit more. So if you're knitting with drops of bell, don't really wear them with Doc Martens. Your Doc Martens will screw them up. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to rush this podcast a little bit because I'm racing against the light. So I'm trying to think of anything else that I have to say. I'm looking at my notes here. Yeah. I like her patterns. I like Renard and Dormy's patterns. we'll just need to be more conscious about stitch counts from now on. And honestly, that's a note to everyone else too. So if you are planning on ever knitting up any of Bernard and Dormy's patterns, there you go. This is future Ollie jumping back in to say that I forgot to say that the jack-o'-lantern socks were on the needles for 17 days when I finished them. But that was all I had for, that is all I have for finished objects. So we're just gonna move on into works in progress, which she's back, guys. It's the Salty Days sweater by Veronica Lindbergh, otherwise known as Kudavakika, here on YouTube. I'm knitting it up in Malabrigo Rios in the colorway Wales Road, and it is 100% superwash merino. So this is my boyfriend warning. Hi, my dear. Thank you for watching. I'll leave a timestamp for you. I'm gonna show the sweater. Try to make it quick. Try to make it brief, and you can return at this timestamp. So now that he's gone, let's everybody else look at this sweater. So where's the top of it? The way I do this, because my boyfriend can't see it because it's his Christmas present, is that I show it for a minute or two, let you guys really take it in, and then I make it disappear and I just talk about it for the rest of the time. So I'm trying to find out where the back is. There it is. Okay. So here it is. Look at that. Oh my goodness. It looks, I have my phone mirrored on my laptop, so I have like a monitor and I can see what I'm looking at, but it like so disorients me. But here we go. So this is a Salty sweater. Let me try to put it up against myself. Oh, it looks so good. It looks delicious, actually. So I'm gonna show some close-ups of the bind-offs and stuff, because I will come back to that in a bit. So there we go. There's that bind-off, and then look at this open, twisted rib down here, guys. Can you guys see that? That's insane. Okay, so let me put it back over there so that way my boyfriend can come back. Okay, welcome back, my dear. Now time to talk about it. Now that everyone's seen it except my boyfriend, it's time to talk about it, and he'll just have to guess what I'm talking about and how it looks. So as you saw, I did finish the body, which is exactly what I wanted to do. That was my goal for this past week, was to finish the body. Excuse me. So, whew, that is the first big chunk of the sweater done and off of my chest, off of my back. So happy. And as you saw, I did pick up stitches for the sleeves. I'm only a couple rows in. I will talk a little bit more about that in just a second. First, I want to talk about, I showed you the bind-offs for a very specific reason. So, obviously it's a sweater, and I know how I put on sweaters, and I know how my boyfriend puts on sweaters. And I know that even though it's a knit sweater, he will be more careful. It's still a sweater. And your body goes into like a muscle memory with it, you know what I mean? So, I wanted the bottom bind off. Obviously you want it stretchy, but I wanted it as stretchy as possible for him. Knowing full well that already that open twisted rib that I did does not cinch in the way that a normal rib does. I wanted that bottom bind off to be, and obviously the collar bind off, to be as stretchy as possible. So I did a stretchy bind off with a crochet hook, and they got very ruffly, as you guys saw. I have absolutely no idea if that will block out. If it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, I'm a little bit peeved about that. I tried to keep it a stretchy bind off, but as tight as possible, if that makes any sense. Like, because I bind off with a crochet hook because I physically do not like doing it with my needles, and I'm a crocheter turned knitter. I love my crochet hooks, and if I can use a crochet hook to make my life in knitting easier, why wouldn't I? So I tried to keep my tension really tight, and while doing a stretchy bind off, so that way it would find a place somewhere in the middle. It didn't really do that. I do have incredibly stretchy bind-offs, but they are kind of waffly, like ruffly, like you saw. And I grappled with it for a little bit. I sat there and I stared at them, like, because if you lay it out perfectly flat, it's not ruffly at all. It's when it's just kind of resting, like folded up or just tossed in the corner, that it gets really ruffly. So I have been like grappling with it, like, should I try to do just a normal bind off, not a stretchy bind off, and just hope that it's stretchy enough, or I don't know. I just went back and forth, but I think where I've finally landed is that I really just wanted it to be stretchy as possible, so that way it can go through some love, and it can go through the muscle memory of, you know, tearing on and tearing off a sweater and stuff like that. I really sat there and I was like, I would prefer these to be stretchy than them be super perfect and lay flat. Does that make sense? So where I've kind of landed is that I'm going to leave them as is. I'm going to leave them as waffly and ruffly as they are, and I'm going to block the sweater as normal once it's done. And if it blocks out, fantastic, perfect, problem solved, dilemma over. If it does not block out, then I will do the simple thing that a lot of knitters do, is I will go online and I will buy some elastic and I will sew it in, so that way it kind of cinches it in, but it still retains its stretch. So that is where I've landed. But I've told my boyfriend, like, I'm going back and forth on what to do, and I've kind of told him that also, if he really has, because at the end of the day, ultimately, it is his sweater. So if it still is kind of ruffly and stuff, and he decides that he likes that, then who am I to argue? You know what I mean? If he likes it, then he likes it. So if he likes it, it's a little bit more ruffly. I know that I'm looking at it differently because I know exactly how it's supposed to lay and what it's supposed to look like, and the fact that I didn't achieve that. So, but for all I know, he'll love it. You know what I mean? He'll be like, oh, that's a cool effect, or it helps, or I don't know. But if he decides that it's an issue for him, I'll put the elastic in. I'll just order it off Amazon, be here in a couple of days, tie it up. But if he decides it's not a problem, then I guess it's just going to sit as is. But we will cross that bridge when we come to it. But as you saw, I did a open twisted rib substitution for the bottom, so it gives these kind of faux cable look, which I much prefer, because I did not want to have twisted rib next to that 1x2 rib. That's a lot of 1x2 rib, and then to immediately just have like a little eyelet section, and then 3 inches of twisted rib. I didn't want to do that. So I consulted my boyfriend before making that switch, and I did open twisted rib. I only did 2 inches because I thought 3 inches was a little bit intense, and I didn't really want 3 inches. I just wanted to do 2. I thought it looked a little bit better. So it's either 2 or 2.5. I can't remember. It's somewhere in between those. Let's just split the difference and say it's 2.25 inches. Okay, cool. But as you saw, I did pick up the stitches for the sleeves. We're in the home stretch, and I'm praying that I won't get stuck on Sleeve Island. I won't let myself get stuck on Sleeve Island. I'm saying it here, I'm saying it now. I will not let myself get stuck on Sleeve Island, because I have a deadline for this. It needs to be done by November 27th, so it really needs to be done by like November 24th, so that way it can be blocked and can dry, but we'll see. But yeah, I am knitting them on 5.5 millimeter needles to meat gauge. And for the sleeves, if you saw my podcast a few weeks ago, I bought Nova Cubics short needles for the sleeves, just so that way I wouldn't have to struggle with like longer needles in a smaller circumference, especially once we get down to the decreases and stuff. I didn't want to be messing around with longer needles in a smaller circumference, so I'm knitting on Nova Cubics, which is a little bit unwise to change from carbons to Nova Cubics, but whatever, it's been done. My first impressions on them, like I said, I've only done like 3 or 4 rows, so take these first impressions with a grain of salt, but these are my very, very, very first impressions of the Nova Cubics. It is very weird to hold them and have them be square. Very odd. It is also odd that because when you're knitting, your needles kind of like, okay, so this is your right needle, this is your left needle, at least for me, right? Right needle, left needle. And whenever you go, your needles kind of like touch. They clink against each other. You get a little clinky noise. And so when they touch, because it's round, they're both round, it just kind of like whoop, slides right over. No problem. But with the Nova Cubics, it kind of hits that ridge, stops for just a millisecond, and then moves on. And it is a little odd. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not necessarily bad. I haven't knit long enough with them to figure out if it's bad or not, but it is very weird. So we will have to see how that goes. So yeah, I will keep you guys updated on what I think about the Nova Cubics, but 3 or 4 rows in, it's just a little bit of adjustment. I'm in the adjustment period. I will let you know once it's passed. Obviously this is my main focus right now, because this is my boyfriend's Christmas present, and as well as the Home for Christmas socks, but this is my main priority right now. This is top of the list. If I have free time to knit, this will come first. So, I'll be able to tell you guys once I get out of the adjustment period soon, probably the next day or 2, hopefully. So, we'll see. Future Ollie jumping back in to say that I forgot to say how long the Salty Days was on the needles too. And I also forgot to check before filming this podcast, and I can't check now because my phone is being used to record, and that's what I have the countdown on. So editing Ollie will help me out to help past Ollie out. It's a whole trifecta, guys. This is how many days the Salty Days has been on the needles. That is all I have for works in progress. I wish I had more. I don't have any acquisitions, so we can just go ahead and talk right about plans. I wish I had more stuff on the needles, and actually I will later this week, because this week I'm going to start. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be today or tomorrow or anything. I'll figure that out as I go. I still have homework to do today, so we'll see. But I want to film a vlog. I don't know exactly if it's going to cover, if it's going to focus on a specific project, or if it's just kind of be a general knitting vlog, or if it's like all of November. I don't know. We'll have to see what I compile over the next week, 2, or several. We'll have to see. So we'll have some possible cast-ons in that, and you'll have a vlog coming your way. So I have a question for you. And if no one responds to this question, that's okay. I will figure it out myself. Would you guys like a vlog in place of 1 week's podcast? Or would you like it like as a video in the middle of the week? Like a surprise video in the middle of the week? Let me know. Let me know what you would prefer. Because I could skip a podcast 1 week and just upload a vlog instead and have that kind of fill you in on where I'm at, what I'm doing. And then just continue with the podcast next week. Or I could drop it like on a Wednesday or a Thursday or whatever, you know? But, yeah. There's gonna be some cast-ons. And obviously, work on the Salty Days. Duh. It's due very soon for me. Just a couple of weeks. Little over 3 weeks. Just very little over 3 weeks. So I've got to get those done. I got to knit speedily. By next week when I check in to set my goal for myself, I want to be either done or almost done with the first sleeve. I don't know which one I cast on. Left one? I don't know. Whichever one I cast on. With the sleeve that I'm working on, I want to be almost done or done with that sleeve. We'll check back in next week and we'll see how that goes. I want to cast on sometime this week the Home for Christmas socks, like I said, because I want those done also by the time my boyfriend comes to visit me on November 27th, because we will not be together for Christmas, long distance things. And so I want him to have like a pair of Christmas themed socks for Christmas, but I can't give them to him on Christmas, so I have to give them to him like on Thanksgiving when he comes to visit me, so that way he can have them and take them home with him and have them for Christmas. So I hope to cast those on this week, and I will hopefully have stuff to report next week. Like I said, I'm probably going to be working on a vlog this week. I'm probably going to start working on that. I don't know when you'll see that, because if it ends up being like an all of November knitting vlog, then you won't see it until like December. But I don't know if it's just going to be like a week, or I don't know. But you guys will see a vlog in the next month and a half, so be on the lookout. I want to talk about this. It's not necessarily important, nor is it probably going to get done, but I want to talk about it. So Renard and Dormy, I know I just got done with a whole debacle with her socks, but she has been teasing on her Instagram. She's been teasing these adorable Thanksgiving socks. I'm going to put a picture somewhere on the screen because they are so cute. They have apples, they have turkeys, they have cool autumnal colors. And I think we've noticed that I have a thing for themed socks, and then the Home for Christmas socks, I have a thing for themed socks. So I thought, what better way to celebrate Thanksgiving than wearing Thanksgiving themed socks in a country that doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving? So, but the thing is that when she started teasing this pattern, the pattern's not out yet. And as of today, what is today? November 3rd. As of today, November 3rd, she still hasn't released the pattern. And so, honestly, with all the other things that I have to knit, I don't think that by the time she releases them, I'll have enough time to order the yarn and then knit the socks. And I don't want to order the yarn before the pattern comes out, because what if I don't have time to knit the socks at all? Then I just bought yarn for these very specific yarn for these socks that I'm not going to be able to knit. So, I don't know. I wanted to make them, and they live in my spirit, and I will probably make them for next year when I have, months preparation and not 3 weeks preparation. So we'll see next week. Not next week. We'll see them next year, probably, hopefully, if I can remember. But because I think she's probably going to release this pattern either next week so that people can try to knit them in time for Thanksgiving, or just sometime in the month of November, because she's French, so I don't think she really cares about the exact day of Thanksgiving. So that wraps it up for plans, which means that we are going to have another little hobby huddle in today's video, where I talk about other hobbies that I'm partaking in, whether that's reading or watching, which is normally what I do here, as well as occasionally a few crafty things. So, first up is my Halloween costume that I made. If you didn't see the podcast two weeks ago, I think, I said I was going to be Joe Cool for Halloween. So I bought a sweater, and literally day before Halloween it arrived, and it's a very simple costume. I'll put a picture of a picture of me in my costume, but here, after I show this, but here is my Joe Cool sweater. Very simple, very easy, just a fabric marker and a sweater. I was going to buy some fabric and sew on, but I was so busy trying to finish these that I realized I wasn't going to have time to really dedicate myself to that, so I just did a fabric marker instead. Super simple, super cheap, actually. This was like 8 pounds, and then the fabric marker was like 3. So, if you're looking for a budget costume, be Joe Cool for Halloween. Here's me in my costume. I don't really like to party, and I'm much more of an introvert. I'm a homebody. I like to stay inside. I like to knit, watch movies, read books. Parties are just very overstimulating for me, and they're not my thing. And if they're your thing, fantastic for you. I'm so happy you get to go out and have parties and have fun. My party is staying inside, watching, knitting, reading, listening, all this stuff. But everyone here parties. And so everyone else went out to party for Halloween, and they all had their hot, cool, and sexy costumes, and I showed up to school. I had classes on Thursday on Halloween, so I showed up to school dressed up in my costume, assuming that, maybe not everyone was going to be dressed up, but maybe some people, enough to just not make me feel like I was the only one dressed up. I showed up and I was the only person dressed up, and it was my anxious nightmare. Like, as an anxious person, that was my nightmare. I didn't bring a change of clothes, so I was now stuck at school in my sweater. I could pass it off though that Joe Cool is literally just a hoodie, you know what I mean? So I just tried to play it as cool as possible the whole day, but I was the only person dressed up. Literally not a single other person dressed up. And I know that some people didn't dress up because they had only hot, cool, and sexy costumes. They didn't have like stupid costumes. No offense to my Joe Cool costume, I thought you were very cool, but they didn't have like normal costumes. They just had hot, cool, and sexy costumes. So nobody dressed up, and I was so alone, and I didn't know what to do, and I felt so embarrassed the whole day. Pardon me for having my childlike sense of whimsy and joy. Sorry, guys. But yeah, that was the first thing on Hobby Huddle. Next up, we're going to talk about what I'm reading. So if you were watching last week, you heard me talk about the book that I was reading, and I'm still reading it. Here's my Kindle case and my beautiful Kindle. I will link the shop for this case. It is the Quirky Cup Collective on Etsy. I'll link the shop. I don't know if they still have the same one online, but I'll link it because I love it, and it keeps my Kindle so protected, and it's very cute at the same time. So, my Kindle, and you can still see the reflection of my lamp in between the flashes of the reflection. You can see what I'm reading. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Wrath of the Triple Goddess, which is book 2 in the senior year adventures. I am 91% of the way through this book. I am almost done. I have 24 minutes, according to my Kindle, left in the book. So I am very close to being done. I will probably finish this today or tomorrow if I don't get any good reading time in today. But I will probably finish this today. So far, I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. The stakes did get a little bit more intense, so take back what I said about there being low stakes last time. But we're getting some good talks in here. Like, spoiler if you haven't read it. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily a spoiler. So, obviously the whole point of these books is that Percy needs, if you saw my podcast, you already know this, but Percy needs recommendation letters for college from the gods, and he needs to complete quests for them, regardless of the fact that he's saved the world countless times. He needs to do more quests for them in order to earn recommendation letters. And so he's doing these quests, and in this quest, the whole thing goes wrong because Grover couldn't keep the plan straight. Because we heart Grover, but he has a little bit of trouble staying on task. So the whole catalyst of the thing was because of Grover. And so Grover has this heart-to-heart conversation that he feels like he's subconsciously sabotaging Percy and Annabeth because he doesn't want them to leave him. And I was like, guys, stop. Don't make me cry right now. I was like, you're going to make me sob my eyes out. And that won't be good for anyone, will it? So I don't know what the point of saying that was, other than the fact that I just really enjoy this book, and I love Percy Jackson, and he holds such a special place in my heart. And I just love Percy Jackson. And if you love Percy Jackson and you haven't read these, go read them. This is not my Kindle. This is my case. Go read them. They're a lot of fun. They're generally low stakes. The stakes did get a little more intense here, but they are generally low. But they're just a lot of fun. They're just a chance for us to see the old gang together, and I'm here for it. I'm loving it. So, like McDonald's, I'm loving it. So, yeah, I'm just gonna move right on into what I'm watching because I don't really have much else to say until I finish this book. Then I'll have a full review for you guys. But I just started watching Bob's Burgers, and by just I mean I was sitting down eating lunch before this, and I started watching Bob's Burgers. I'm only an episode and a half in, and I think I'm going to really enjoy it. So it seems like right up my alley and right my kind of humor. So I don't know. And if I do love it, I think it's at 14 seasons to watch, so I'm good for a little while. I love having a silly, goofy show to have on in the background while I'm doing literally everything else in my life. So another thing that I love watching is one of my favorite girls to watch on YouTube. One of my favorite knitting podcasts ever to exist is AKA Nora Knits. And so she had a new podcast come out yesterday, and I loved it. I love watching AKA Nora Knits. She's my queen, she's my idol, and she was a very good thing to see as a beginner knitter. I've been watching her for several months now. I think I've been watching her, I don't know exactly how long, but I've been watching her for a while, and she was a very important thing for me to see as a beginner, so that way I didn't get discouraged, because when I started it, I just went back and I went to her backlog of podcasts and I was watching her. She started her podcast as a beginner, similar to how I am, to kind of just show like, hey, adventurous beginners out there can do whatever. You don't have to be like, oh, I've been knitting for 6 years. I think I'm finally ready to start to try color work. You can just go for it. If you like it, you don't have to like build your way up to it. Sure, that can help, but like, you can just go for it. And that was really helpful to see. So if you're a fellow beginner knitter, go and watch AKA Aurora Knits. She's very good for the spirit, very good for the soul, and she just seems like one of the sweetest people ever. And I have also been listening to Louie a lot, because she just dropped on Halloween. She dropped Santa Baby, and I'm like, girl, I'm fighting for my life to stay in the fall spirit while I get through Thanksgiving, and you're making it so difficult. And we're truly past the point of no return. I am a December baby. I am a Christmas girly. Winter is my time. Fall is my season, but winter is my time. Winter is my time. Christmas needs to come a little bit sooner. Christmas needs to speed up, because I can't fight off the Christmas spirit anymore, guys. I've been listening to Christmas music all weekend while doing homework, while cleaning, while cooking. I can't fight it anymore. I'm barely holding on to my fall spirit anymore. And Louie didn't help at all, because I've been obsessed with her cover of Santa Baby. That was intensely amazing. It just, the little like Christmas bug that's been hibernating all year, she heard Santa Baby and was like, oh, it's my time. It's my time to shine. So, Christmas rant aside, I think that just about does it for me this week. I think I've said everything I need to say. I've rushed through this podcast as quickly as I can, and I still took a while. My voice is starting to get a little bit tired now, so I think it's best if I sign off. So, you guys know what time it is. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, maybe even hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I post more videos like this one. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of your week, or beginning of your week, or whatever point of your week that you're watching this. I hope you enjoy the rest of it in its entirety. Okay, go out, be kind, seize the day, and savor your happiness. Bye, y'all. I just love Christmas so much, guys.